Thank you, Brian and Greg, and hello, everyone. Happy pre-Thanksgiving week to you. Back in 1973, a Broadway musical called Seesaw had Tommy Tune singing and dancing to the idea, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. He wasn't singing or dancing about television at the time, but that observation often rises when we consider what TV series stick in our minds or don't. Not how they start, how they finish. Finish like The Fugitive, MASH, The Sopranos, Seinfeld, Mad Men, and Breaking Bad. Now how they finish is up front in TV finales FAQ. It's a new tome from Applause Theater and Cinema Books. And joining us right here to start a conversation about it is the co-author, Holly Van Buren. Holly, happy Thanksgiving to you. Welcome to BK Live.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, too.
How did you and your co-author, Stephen Tropiano, get involved in covering how TV series end?
Well, we thought it was fascinating how shows, not only how they come to be, but how they finish. And when the FAQ series was looking for another book about television, they asked us if we would be interested in covering, a multitude of shows to see, what differences you can find amongst, the best television finales or the worst. So then it was down to us to figure out which shows to cover.
What do people think about when they think of the best TV series that ended?
Which television show
Which
or what
television
they?
shows?
I think MASH is on a lot of lists. I think a lot of people talk about Breaking Bad or any show really that lives up to the very high bar that they're expecting. There's a lot of any show that has these diehard fans that are desperate to find out how it all ends for their characters. So I think really strong characters like a Hawkeye in MASH or a Walter White in Breaking Bad lead to having fans that are desperate to see what happens to them.
Now, we were talking before, and The Fugitive, which a lot of people remember as the first television series to have a finale.
Yes.
It wasn't the first. There was
Right.
one, for example, called Route 66, which had actually a two-part finale in its four-season run on CBS. But The Fugitive was the one that people think of as that was the first one that turned people on to the idea of having an ending. Because in that time, if you had a television show on ABC, CBS, or NBC, you didn't end the show because it would go right into syndication.
Exactly.
And the syndicators did not want you to have an ending show because it felt it would devalue the property.
Right, exactly. If you wanted a show to survive in syndication, it had to feel like it never ended, right? You could come and see these characters anytime. So The Fugitive really was the first time you see event television in the sense of the closure of a show. Fans tuned in to see, would Kimball be freed finally? Would he have to stop running? And people were very anxious to see the outcome of the show. The show's entire premise was predicated on how it ended. So, that's a really important transition in how television was produced when the end becomes as important as the beginning.
And there were three things responsible for the future. First of all, Roy Huggins, who created the show, actually, in his Bible of history, actually suggested how the show would end.
Yes.
David Jensen was tired of doing The Fugitive after 4 or 5 seasons.
Literally tired of running, so.
He was literally tired of the run. And third, and most important, ABC decided rather than do the finale right away, as in the last 2 episodes of a season in the spring, they held off those last 2 episodes called The Judgment until late August, right before the next season started.
Yes,
4 months.
4 months. So fans really had to wait. And, this is 1967. This is not the same television culture as today, where, set your DVR and it'll catch it whenever it's on. It really was appointment television. People waited anxiously for the finale in August.
What's the most controversial finale that you cover in the book? The one where you have equal fans who say, love it, love it, love it, and equal fans who say, is this what we get for the end?
I think it's a toss-up between Lost and The Sopranos for me. I think The Sopranos, because many people thought their cable just went out, ending in black was very controversial. It's sort of, the non-ending ending. And Lost, I think because how much time people invested in trying to figure out the mystery, it's that sense where they've already written their own ending. So will the ending that the creators actually write live up to that? So the expectations were almost too high for that show. So a lot of people feel very disappointed, if the idea that, the characters, it's a dream. Is it a dream? We spent, 5 seasons, 6 seasons with it. Is it a dream, Now,
AMC, in the last year, ended 2 of its classics.
Yes.
Mad Men, which was the first scripted show that they did, and Breaking Bad.
Yes.
And it was interesting that in both cases, the creators of that show, Matt Weiner for Mad Men, Vince Gilligan for Bad, were able to end the shows their way, which a lot of series creators don't necessarily do.
Right, a lot of series creators just get the word from the network, your show's done, okay, quickly we have to wrap it up. But in the case of those two shows, it really is, television that is driven by the creators. So, AMC told them, you can decide almost when your show will end, and therefore you get to have this really complete picture of the show. So you have something like Mad Men that's able to literally take us through the entire 1960s, end in 1970 and close the book. And then something like Breaking Bad, which you get to see the entire, transformation of this one character. And in the book, we talk a lot about how the actual finale comes to be. And in shows like that, it's again the situation where from the beginning they know how it's going to end. So
Neil Baer, who just wrapped up on the Dome on CBS, was a former executive producer on Law and Order: Special Victims Unit. Really took that show to the whole level on NBC. He's still going strong.
Yeah.
We were able to ask him recently on Tomorrow Be Televised, how do you get to end a show? Because we always talk to peers about how you begin a show, but very rare how you end it. But Neil was in that position early this summer when CBS gave him the call saying, Neil, end the show. And how they ended, they went to the Dome.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to hear him talk about what he had to go through to make an ending that was plausible for the audience.
Yes.
And it seems that is also a factor. Does the audience get the end? Are they satisfied? Are they left fulfilled that everything came to a nice conclusion?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. In television, you're tuning in maybe each week for 10 years watching certain characters. You see them more than you see your family and friends. So to close the book on them is really something that is very meaningful to you. And certainly you've invested time and, maybe some of your own personal emotions into a show. So, it is really tough for these creators to really close the book because they feel that they have to, live up to these high expectations and also, service the fans in a way that will make the show go down in history as maybe still continue to be as good as it was throughout its run.
One of the fun things about the book, Holly, is that you not just focus on primetime shows, but you focus on daytime, particularly daytime dramas. You focus on late night shows, Johnny Carson, Tonight Show, Jay Leno, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
How fun was that to do different things other than just primetime?
Well, that was really great because really when you think about it, like I said, these people you tune in each week, but a show like, The Tonight Show, you're watching that every single night. And something like Oprah Winfrey, to close out a show that you've done tens of thousands of episodes of, it's really difficult. So to see how that develops is very different than seeing something like Breaking Bad, which only has a limited 60 or so episodes. So it was really fun to kind of dig into that, and certainly the daytime shows in terms of soap operas. You think about a soap opera, you almost think it never ends. But these shows they lasted for 25 plus years, and how do you say goodbye to those characters that you visited literally every day? So it was interesting to research the challenges that the creators and writers had for that.
Let's do a little rapid fire. What do you think is the most underrated TV finale ever?
Underrated finale? Ooh, that's tough. Maybe Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I think that show so much is talked about the actual, the run of the show and less about the end. And I think it really has a very satisfying ending.
And overrated?
Overrated? Oh, that's so hard. I don't want to bash anybody here.
Give it a good shot.
Ooh, I want to pick one that I didn't write about. Probably overrated. Ooh, give me a second.
I'll tell you what, I'll give you a thought.
Yeah, you give me a thought.
St. Elsewhere.
Oh,
Love the show,
wow.
but I thought that the end of it with the sort of Citizen Kane-like of the globe, and you pull back to see the autism child who invents all the fantasy, it left a lot of people very confused.
Yes, I think How I Met Your Mother probably would be my selection. Here you have a show where the entire premise is to meet the mother, and in the last minutes, she dies before you really get to meet her. Sorry for the spoiler. But yeah, it's the idea, and I think St. Elsewhere is the same idea. When you do a bait and switch, you change the whole thing. That can kind of make it sort of an overrated, bloated finale in a way.
I'll tell you, Holly, it is an amazing book. It's very comprehensive, and congratulations to you and Stephen on making the book happen. Thanks for being with us on BK Live.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Very happy Thanksgiving to you.
Same to you.
TV Finale's FAQ is now available in bookstores throughout Brooklyn and beyond. If you want more details online, here's where you go, www.applausebooks.com. It's www.applausebooks.com. And the co-author, Stephen Tropiano, will get his turn to discuss this effort Wednesday afternoon on a special pre-Thanksgiving episode of Tomorrow Will Be Televised. Join Stephen and me for that Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern on Blog Talk Talk Radio. And throughout Thanksgiving weekend, you can check out recent Tomorrow episodes at blogtalkradio.com/televised or iTunes. And all of our Tomorrow simulcasts and BK Live segments so far this year, you can find them at youtube.com/BRIC TV. By the way, coming up on our show today at 3 o'clock, among other guests, we will have the executive producers of the new sci-fi series, The Expanse. They're Oscar nominees for Children of Men. They're Mark Fergus and Hawk Osby. They're with us live, 3 p.m. right here on Blog Talk Radio. And before we step aside and let Brian and Greg tell us what we've got on BK Live tomorrow, what are your favorite finales, folks?
The best ever is Cheers. That's on Netflix. You can watch that. And The British Office, the one true office.
Yeah.
The one true office. I also loved, you can go online and find when Conan O'Brien signed off of The Tonight Show.
Yeah.
And I liked when Roseanne won the lottery. I thought it was all building to that. Brian gives
But
that
then she
shade.
didn't.
But then she didn't, right? Exactly.
That was a letdown. And Tim reminded me of 6 Feet Under.
Oh, yeah.
It was
That
like
might
a
be
genius.
Yes.
The most final finale of all time.
It was so good because like every episode started with the whole that, and then you got to see how all these people you spent years with. Shout out to my homeboy Freddie Rodriguez.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one and I don't know. True Blood was my like worst one of recent memory. I was like, oh, wah. What did
And for
they
me,
do at
Breaking
the
Bad.
end?
And I loved Kung Fu. I think there was a very underrated finale where David Carradine says goodbye, sort of acknowledges his fellow citizens, and it was just done nice and serene and beautiful. In fact, people have seen Kung Fu. It's one of the great classic shows of all time. Very
Whatever
innovative.
happened to the TV reunion? When I was
Yeah.
a kid, they always did reunion shows. I want to see what happened with Dwayne and Whitley and like bring them back on. Like Theo, dare I say, revive the Cosby Show.
Yeah.
Like send maybe to kill Cliff. Maybe he's like they're gathering for his funeral or
I'd
something.
be for
Sorry.
it. No, they do those. They do reunions. I mean, you know what?
On the Today Show, but
Well,
then,
yeah.
you know, like,
I mean, on Netflix they're doing
Yeah,
now.
now they're doing
Netflix?
reunions. Yeah, now they're doing
Fuller
reunions on their
House.
newer shows. So like Courtney Cox had her show, and then she has Jennifer Aniston be a guest on it. So
Right,
it's
and
like,
Holly, to that end, there's so much said about the Seinfeld finale. They had a reunion
yeah.
on the Curb Your Enthusiasm.
yeah,
They did a
and
whole
some
extra
people say
episode.
that's a do-over for the finale.
I liked
was
it.
So
They
disappointing.
needed one. But what about the ones that never get like Looking? Are they gonna ever get that finale shot from HBO?
Probably
No,
not.
the movie's
Probably
not happening.
not.
Sorry.
But Getting On is having a finale this fall on HBO.
Getting On is over?
Yep, it was last season, and they will have a finale.
Really? She just got nominated for an Emmy.
I know.
It's so good. What about Nashville? I think I asked you that before.
It's in its final season, probably on ABC. They'll probably get some.
I have a tear
get a
over
send
that
off.
one too. I love that.
I like
show.
Party Down. That was a good show, and it ended nicely.
I
Thank you.
like crap shows that only last for a year and they don't know they're getting a finale.
There's no such thing as a guilty pleasure.
Like
don't
the,
worry.
what about the ones like there's a guy hanging on the side of the cliff and we never know what happens? Like that always makes me upset when they just leave
I'm
it.
telling you, Cheers. That's where it's at.
I'm curious how House of Cards and Orange is the New Black and all the Netflix shows, how they will end their show. And by the way, Hemlock Grove is in
out
its
of
final
jail.
season this fall, and we'll see how that ends pretty soon, season 3.
Some of those are going to end like the book, right? Is Orange is the New Black based on a book?
I
Whatever.
think she gets out of jail.
Spoiler.
Talk all day.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Like
both.
that.